Hey, what's going on? Dr. Kai Dupe, Coding While Black. I believe this is episode 71. Today is January 29th, 2022. Woo, we getting up there, brother, getting old. I started in the game in 1986, graduated from high school in 82. Good God, we getting up there. But it's all good because I'm not one of those people that trips on age. I don't hide my gray. I don't get all caught up in how old I am, and I can't do these things because I'm a little bit older, been on the planet longer. Nope. I'm planning on doing my thing until it's all over with. So I'm not gonna be sitting around. I don't plan to retire, any of that kind of stuff. I just don't believe in it. I consider myself to be infinite, just like all the scriptures say that I am. No matter what tradition you want to look at it, they all say we're infinite. We're infinite beings. Anywho, wanted to drop a video this morning while I had a moment and reflect on something that was asked of me. And I get asked this question all the time, especially when I used to do a lot more public speaking, which I'm trying to get back to, so I can share some of the things that I've learned. But a question I always get asked, whether I would be at a career day or some panel, particularly when we're talking about underrepresentation of African Americans in tech, I would always get the question, how did you get started in computer science? How did you get started in programming? Those were the questions, not how did you get started in tech, not how you got a job at a tech company. Again, people are confusing this thing. You know, folks posting all day long on different places. You know, they get a job working at a company and they're an accountant or they're in marketing or whatever, and they're saying, you know, black girl in tech, black in tech, women in tech. You're not in tech. You're at tech. You work for a tech company. When we talk about digital divide and we talk about underrepresentation of African Americans in tech, we're talking about those who are doing tech jobs. Okay, so please, let's get that straight. You're not closing the digital divide by working at Facebook as a marketing specialist. Okay, no shade, no hate, but that's the truth of the matter. Let's deal with truth. Stop doing that, right? Unless you want to put black. I work at a tech company. But anyway, I get asked all the time, how did I get into tech? How did I get into program? How did I get into computer science? Computer science, okay? What led me to do that? That's what my degree is in, computer science. I'm a computer scientist above all else. That's what I'm trained to be. And my story is different, and I don't know how many other brothers share this kind of story, but a lot of times when you hear folks who are not black talk about how they got into tech, and some black people say this too. They say stuff like, when I was a kid, my daddy gave me a Commodore 64, or when I was little, I always tore things apart, and I always had this curiosity, and it led me to tech. And, you know, that kind of, matter of fact, I was listening to an interview of Trevor Noah, and I just recently listened to his book on Audible called Born a Crime. And he was like that. He was like, I've always been a tech head. I've always been interested in tech. That was not my journey. I never cared nothing about tech. I wasn't taking stuff apart, because if I took something apart, I would have got beat to death. And I didn't have anything to take apart. We didn't have any fancy equipment or electronic equipment that I could take apart. I mean, I had an 8-track player, and I wouldn't have bothered to take no screwdriver and take it apart. So I went through elementary school, junior high school, could care less about computer programming. Now, I was into science. I enjoyed science, and I enjoyed, you know, biology and chemistry, and I even enjoyed math. But I didn't care nothing about computers whatsoever. As a matter of fact, in 1982, when I graduated high school, we had a computer lab with TRS-80 computers in the lab right next to the class where I took physics in high school. And I barely even walked. I think I went in there once or twice, and I think I may have had a class that had us go in there and do some work on them, but I didn't take an entire class to play with those computers. And I graduated high school, could care less. Now, when I was a senior and I was majoring in, or not majoring, but choosing a major when I was starting to apply to colleges, I always put down engineering. I never even put down computer science. And that's because when I took the PSAT and the SAT, I did decent on math and science. So I had a counselor come to me and say, you might want to consider a major in science. And also this was a time during the time when they were pushing science. This was doing all the Sputnik stuff with Russia, and they launched a satellite in space, and America wanted to compete. And they went on this crusade to find anybody that had any aptitude for science, and they pushed all these students into those fields. I'm part of that generation. It's kind of happening again right now, but this is why I don't push my kids to do STEM. Anyway, so they did that, and I sent that off as a major. But the main reason that I accepted that idea of pursuing science or computer science or engineering was money, right? And people act like that's crass. When you're broke and you're living in poverty, you're looking for a way to get out of poverty, like any normal, intelligent human being did. And I didn't have to have a love for it. It was a means to an end. I went into the field for money, to get out of poverty, to not do manual labor all my life. I didn't want to be digging ditches and working outside in the elements. I wanted an office job. This is why I pursued a career in computer science. And I don't know why when I say this to people, sometimes they frown upon it, maybe because they come from different backgrounds. But I can remember one time I gave a speech. I was brought in to speak to underprivileged youth, underserved youth, whatever phrase we're using in 2022. And at a major tech company, not going to say which one. And they brought in kids from the hood, and they brought them in to talk about these careers so they can get exposed to them. And I talked about how my career in computer science saved my life and kept me off the streets and got me into a situation where I could make money and travel the world and flip this knowledge into many different areas. I've done all kinds of different things because I have a background in programming. And once you program as long as I have, that's never going to leave you. I can always provide for my family with that skill. I don't have to like it. Now, I know we live in an era, and I'm part of this era now, this new age era, this era of enlightenment, where we're talking about you should enjoy your work. And I'm absolutely an advocate for that. Do not go into computer science or engineering or any other technical field if you don't have a love for it, because it makes it for a hard road, and that's what I did. But at the same time, you also have to eat. You also have to make a living. You also have to earn an income, or take that tech skill and start your own business to generate wealth and generate income. But there was no love for it for me. I like the problem solving aspect of it, but I'll wrap it up with this. When I started in college in 1982, I went to Texas A&M in College Station, because I'm from Texas. And I can remember the day I got out of engineering, the day I was not an engineering major. I had applied to Texas A&M, and I got a scholarship for civil engineering. And I was up there. I was taking the classes. I had been in class like 3 weeks. I already hated Texas A&M because there was no black people, and it was a huge campus. Only black folks were there were athletes. And I remember one day I went into my engineering class, and I had a T-square. You had to carry all this stuff around. And I was sitting in class, and right before the class started, the guy walked up to the professor, and he said, "If you're not waking up in the morning and loving the fact that you're in this class and loving coming to class and doing the work that we're doing in this course, you've probably chosen the wrong major. I want you to think about that." God bless him, because as soon as he said that, I packed up the little kit I had, the little T-square stuff. I walked smooth out of the classroom. I dropped that stuff into a trash can on my way out, and I left Texas A&M and went back to San Antonio. And the next semester, I started my computer science career at Trinity University. And only because when it was time to go back to college, I decided to go to school in San Antonio, and I had got accepted to Trinity, and Trinity didn't have an engineering program. I still at that point hadn't decided on computer science, but they accepted me at computer science. I knew I didn't want to do engineering, and so I just went and did it. But my whole point is there was no love. There was no, I've always liked to program. It wasn't this whole romantic tale that you hear a lot of folks say. I was trying to find a way out of poverty. I was trying to go into a field where I could always have work and not have to do menial manual labor. All right? So that's it. Episode 71, Coding While Black. Kai Dupe. If you like what I'm saying, hit the like button. Tell a friend. Let's get some folks to subscribe. I got about 29 more episodes I'm going to do before I wrap this thing up. Peace.